What's good with the YouTube? It's your boy Rojo, and this is the Rojo Room. Today we're going to talk about is some red on red, man. I'm going to tell you guys about a party that turned all bad between two northern hoods. So a little backstory, right? There's the main hood in Concord at the time was VCN, Barrio Concord Norteños. There was all kinds of other ones, Norte Mafia, the Mad Kings, uh, East Bay Norteños, Solano Side. There might have been a couple others I'm not remembering. But anyway, I'm chilling with the VCN boys. They were like my crew away from my crew, right? We go to this party, man. This girl turns 21. She has a stripper, and all kinds of stuff, a bunch of people drinking, whatnot. Now, bear in mind, I'm not going to say the name of this other hood because I don't want to embarrass them because they've been embarrassed a lot. And I'm not going to do them like that, man. But VCN in this other hood had many incidents over the past couple of years. Very minor ones, man, but a bunch of minor stuff equals something major. So one time this dude, call him Sapo, he had got jumped. And it wasn't by the Northerners, but other Northerners were there and they were laughing at him and pointing at him and telling him how he got his ass whooped afterwards. He had got into it with some Crips. That's one thing, you know what I mean? There's things with females, disputes behind debts, things of that nature. Everything was all cool for a couple of years. Well, one of the homegirls has a birthday party. She turns 21, gets a stripper, and there's like 17, maybe 20 VCN dudes there. Everybody's drinking, chilling, having a good time. There's probably as many females. A carload of the other guys pull up, and it's all good. Handshakes are exchanged, beers are offered. The past is the past. About another carload of them pull up. So there might be a dozen of them by the time things goes down, and there's probably at least a dozen and a half, at least 18 people from VCN. Well, everybody gets faded. People are chilling. One of the hyenas that happened to be with one of the little homies from VCN walks by them dudes, and one of them just kind of reached over and took a nice basketball grip of one of her nalgas. Right? And all you hear is motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? And it almost kicks off, right? The little homie's like, hey, that's my girl, bro. He's like, oh man, Spencer, I didn't know. I thought she was just here. I didn't, she had been over since then people showed up. She had been over hanging out with the girls in another part of the house. So okay, he's like, okay, let it slide. I'm just like, it's about to get funky here. You know what I mean? And but I'm faded too, right? I'm pretty tore up. Night goes on, stripper starts doing her thing, everybody's happy, you know what I mean? Stripper brought toys and all kinds of stuff. So nobody's feeling like fighting. They're all just sitting there with their mouths open, watching and feeling themselves, drinking, whatnot, smoking. Man, everybody goes outside. You know what I mean? Stripper takes a break halfway through her 2 hours or whatever, takes a break. Everybody goes outside, they're smoking. Well, a one-on-one fight happens with homies from VCN. Two dudes, they get into it. It's a great scrap. It was over some personal stuff. Everybody's out there just watching, chilling. Nobody jumps in. They let them take care of their business. That's out of the way. They shake hands. They're done. Go back inside. The stripper does her thing. But when I tell you people are faded, I mean faded. We used to have everybody in the hood got the dope fiend hookup where, you got boosters that go steal bottles and whatnot. So man, we had over 20 bottles, big fifths, and the bigger ones, whatever's half gallon or whatever the hell the next step up is. Plus, everybody brought a 12 pack or a case or 18 pack or something. So people are wrecked, crossfaded off the tree. Everything's going cool, man. People doing the strippers inviting the homies to come up and dance and get lap dances. And the last thing of the night, the birthday girl getting all kinds of freak nasty lap dances and stuff. She's smacking booty and whatever. Well, come to find out, like 20 minutes later, the same dude from the other crew tried to pull that girl to the side and talk about, man, fuck that dude. He ain't shit. You should mess with the real player. Typical stuff little backstabbing dudes try to do. She goes immediately and tells the little homeboy. Homeboy plays it off, walks around, doesn't say nothing. The dude who was trying to holler at her is at like a dining room table, and he goes to take a hit of his drink. And just as he's raising it to his mouth, the little homie comes through with a jug, the handle like fifth, and just devastates him from the side, bro. Dropped him like nothing. Them dudes get up and try to rush dude, and man, they were just so outnumbered. And I'm gonna tell you how bad it got. There was every last one of them was knocked smooth out. Like every last person that came, they were knocked out throughout the house front lawn, knocked out. I came by there the next day to help clean up. Check this out. So your boy, I was a little faded, you know what I'm saying? So I'm jumping off the arm of the couch, straightening my body, making my body as hard as I could and landing on people's faces with my feet. You know what I mean? Like you guys wanted to do it, we're doing it. You know what I'm saying? Should I have? No. Red on red? Oh, of course. Did I know better? Yeah. Did I care? No. They brought it on themselves. And there's always that renegade group of fools who their whole hood would get deemed if they were a factor, but they were such a little irrelevant group of people that they never had no respect really. I would let them slide and let them slide. There's all times I wanted to slap them, just beat the shit out of them, whatever. So these fools are getting devastated. I remember in the middle of a fight, I got to do it in the corner and I'm just destroying him, right? And I had a long ass Mongolia and I felt my head being pulled back. And just as I felt my head being pulled back, I hear a bottle bust and then the grip on my hair is gone. My dude's done. You know what I mean? He's knocked out in the corner and I'm still giving it to him. You know what I mean? Well, one of the homies, they had gone to the store, came back and seen all the commotion. They light the place up. We're still in there. They let off a 10-piece through the house. Nobody gets hit. But it's like, bro, what are you thinking? You know what I'm saying? Just all them dudes are knocked out. We're in the garage. There might be one or two homies in the house still. Them dudes are trying to recover and get up and stagger away and all that kind of stuff. Dude comes through and lights up the house with a 10-piece. I don't know. Anyway, so I go back to clean up the next day. There's splatters of blood and glass on the wall with chunks of hair in them, like literally multiple spots around the house. Sangre everywhere, bro. It was a major one. And so check this out. After the shooting, motherfuckers are so drunk, it took a minute to be like, man, we got to get the fuck out of here. Man, I only lived maybe 4 blocks away. So me and one of the homies from VCN, I'm like, let's go to my house. So we're knowing the cops are coming. There's a substation only a couple blocks this way. In Concord, the police come fast, bro. If you police response time is amazing in Concord. Some cities, you call the cops, they won't be there for 15 minutes, an hour. In Concord, they'll be there in 2 minutes or less, no matter what part of town you're on, and probably less, bro. So I'm running, man, ghetto birds out. Ghetto birds spotlighting us. We're bobbing and zagging down the street. Ghetto birds trying to follow us, man. I'm hiding under cars. I'm jumping fences. Whoop-de-whoop. The only thing that got the ghetto bird off us was another part of the neighborhood. There was another drive-by. It had nothing to do with what we had going on. But they probably thought they were chasing the wrong people and they shot over to the other side of the hood, which is, 6, 8 blocks away. We heard it while we were running. We thought maybe the cop shot the homie. So I don't know. You know what I mean? But so the ghetto bird bounces off us. I make it down another 2, 3 blocks. There's a retaining wall that separates my house from the street. We jump that. We get up into the house, whatever. Man, it was crazy though. But after that, that same group of individuals, man, we're barbecuing at the park. They come walking through, trying to apologize. You know what I mean? Like, hey, the homie was out of line, whoopty whoopty whoop, and whatever. They got dogged out at that park, man. They got dogged out. There was probably a dozen cats from VCN and two of them, and about 8 VCN dudes beat the brakes off them. I didn't participate in that one. I just sat on the picnic table and laughed. You know what I mean? Because I didn't like the people anyway. That's how set tripping is though, man. No matter what kind of directives come out of prison, there's going to be times where certain individuals in certain neighborhoods, they just don't like each other. You know what I mean? And when I first got out, I increased the peace. You know what I mean? I stopped all that. But it's like you can only tell people to swallow their pride so many times and let things pass before they start to look like suckers. You know what I mean? And finally, they're like, man, we got to deal with these dudes. And I just turned the cheek. Hey, you got to, I wouldn't even have really got in trouble for it anyway. They weren't, if I explained the situation, it'd be like, there was no other alternative. It was a dignity thing, or somebody would have got shot. It's better to have a fight it out. But, you always hear about Hayward going at it with whoever and doop-de-doop. No groups in Concord liked each other at all. You know what I mean? VCN being the oldest and the deepest throughout history, nobody liked VCN. The dudes from Solano side, they were kind of a trippy group, man, because they had all different kinds of races with all different kinds of different loyalties, where the Woods might have rolled Wood, the Asians might have rolled this, the Blacks might have rolled that, the homies were homies, but they all ran together. So nobody liked them. And it was just constant animosity throughout that whole city. And the whole time, all this red on reds going on, on site pretty much, unless, it was a real bad place to do it. Over on Monument, the Serranos were getting deeper and deeper and deeper. You know what I mean? So you get distracted messing with stuff that has no relevance while everybody else thrives. Because them dudes thrived. You know what I mean? When I first went to the pen, there might have been 20 of them, and they hid, and they dressed up in work clothes and cowboy hats and shit and played straight Paisa. I get out the pen after 2 years, there's a couple hundred of them dudes. And it all revolved around homies taking too much time arguing with each other and being part-time gangsters. These are guys that go to work 5 days a week and they're homeboys on the weekends. You know what I mean? Is there anything wrong with that? Nah, I mean, I think gangbanging's silly now anyway. I'm a grown-ass man and I've been there and done that. You can't have violence amongst your own and expect to be successful against true opposition. And that goes for anybody, North, South, Crips, Bloods. It doesn't matter what group you are. Internal confrontations, man, they destroy organizations more than opposition. I mean, look at all the things that have happened with the big homies from up north and what's happening down south right now with MS-13 and the Playboys. The big homies ain't worried about the big homies from down south. Big homies from down south ain't worried about that. They're worried about what's going on in their own ranks. They're worried about stuff like state and feds and MS and Playboys and who's going to pay and what kind of manpower do we risk to make them pay? Whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. But red on red was a thing, man, and it was almost every weekend for a long time. Even this is This is after, the mandates came out and whatever. Should I have put a stop to it? Yeah, in theory, yeah. You know what I mean? But the streets are different and they are, man. There's gonna be things that pop up that, you just can't tolerate because people aren't just gonna fall in line like in the pen. And motherfuckers ain't trying to do burpees on the streets. Motherfuckers ain't trying to write essays on the streets. And then when they refuse to do that, you got to do something to them. And that takes away from the bigger picture, which is money. But anyway, just a little story about some red on red. That was a devastating one. Um, I got a few more that I'll break out at a different time where there was actually more significant injuries. But I mean, their whole gang was knocked out and stomped, like like bikes thrown on them, garbage cans. You know what I mean? Like beer bottles broke on their heads after they were knocked out. That's how it could be. You know what I mean? So gang banging life ain't always cool, man. Sometimes it's your same people. Take it for what it is. This is your boy Rojo. This is the Rojo Room. I'm out.